what's going on with Superman right now? Well, the answer is a lot, and it's mostly really good for the comics, that is. I'm not talking about TV shows, video games, movies, because in those aspects, it's not looking too good. But in the comics, there's a lot of great stuff with Superman. We just got Clark back because at the end of KO, he disappeared and Superboy Prime took over the main Superman title, but now he's back and we learned what happened to them. I'll get into that later. The Superman in Absolute Superman is becoming more of the hero that we all know and love, and I'm really enjoying what Jason Aaron's doing there. In Adventures of Superman Book of L, Philip Kennedy Johnson is wrapping up this long story that he's been telling for a while now that he really started at more the beginning of his Action Comics run, and he's continuing that thread here, and it's been great throughout. I'm really enjoying that. Sad that it's about to end, but yeah, there's three great Superman titles right now. We don't really talk about the Dan Slott Superman book. It's not the worst thing ever, but I read a couple issues, didn't care for it, and I'm like, I'm not going to continue to spend my money reading a comic that I don't enjoy. And then Adventures from Superman, not Adventures from Superman, Action Comics, the Mark Waid Superman book is just very mid. I just don't really care about it. It's the Superboy book. It's not bad. It's just not for me. So, without further ado, let's get into it. As I alluded to earlier, Superboy Prime has been the star of the Superboy title ever since DCKO happened, where Superman defeated Darkseid, or should I say, he pushed him back. He pushed him back to the Absolute Universe and defeated him. And after that happened, Superman disappeared. We're like, well, we don't know what happened to him. And then Prime took over the main Superman title. We got a great story from Joshua Williamson, Dan Mora. It was incredible. If you have not read that story arc that I did, which just wrapped up, it's really good and I highly recommend it. But we're not really getting into that today. We're talking about Clark. So Clark is back because last week we had the Superman Year 1000 special, which explains what the hell happened to Superman at the end of DCKO. Where'd he go? So he kind of got kicked into the time stream after KO happened because Darkseid had affected the future with everything that he had done, and Superman now kind of has the powers of Time Trapper and the King Omega, because if you win the KO event, you get the powers of the King Omega. And so he gets this really stupid looking crown. It's a great issue, by the way. I really like Superman Year 1000. I hate the King Omega design, though. That crown looks so stupid. It was really dumb. But Eddie Barrows does a great job on this issue. He's been the backup artist on the Superman title with Dan Mora as the main artist, although Dan Mora is leaving now. But anyways, Eddie Barrows did this issue. He did a great job, and we could see what Superman was up to. And what he was up to was basically fixing the time stream. He sees there's a lot of issues. He runs into the Dark Legion, who had been assisting Darkseid. They were basically sort of like the absolute legion of superheroes, and they had been assisting Darkseid and helping him with everything that had happened. But now they turned kind of good, and they're trying to survive in this sort of apocalypse type of world where things are really bad for them. And Superman shows up, and they're like, hey, things are going bad. There's this guy called like the Infinite Man or something, and he's causing all these issues. And Superman's like, I'll try to stop him. And then he essentially gets this ultimatum to where he can either like save one legion or like save one timeline. Like there's not much he can do. And Superman's like, no, I'm gonna save everyone. So he goes long live all the legions, and he uses the last of his Time Trapper and King Omega powers to defeat this like Infinite Man and save all the different time streams of Legion of Superheroes. And it's a really great moment. And again, Eddie Barrows does an incredible job here. It looks really nice, and it's a nice heartwarming moment. And I always love stuff with Superman and Legion of Superheroes. The Superman Legion of Superheroes cartoon was something I grew up on, and that like gave me an early on appreciation for them. And then I loved going back and reading those comics. I love what Jeff Johns did with the Superman Legion of Superheroes. So I've always had an affinity for those characters together. And then Superman, he loses his KO powers, and suddenly he's somewhere else. And he's like, what's happening? Then he gets saved by a younger version of himself and Booster Gold and Mary Marvel and Martian Manhunter and all them. This is, if you've been reading Mark Waid's Action Comics, which has been a Superboy book this whole time. It's a flashback book. I'm not the biggest fan of it. Some people really like it. I'm not the biggest fan of Action Comics. It's not terrible. It's just every time I read it, it's just not very compelling, and it's not very interesting to me. I don't think Mark Waid does too good of a job on the current Action Comics. But anyways, Superman gets saved, and that's basically where the Superman part of the book ends. Then we see what's going on with the Legion of Superheroes, and we see that Brainiac 1,000,000 has like captured all the different versions of the Legion of Superheroes, and he's got Cyborg Superman assisting him, and that's where the Legion of Superheroes book will take off from, because Joshua Williamson is also writing the Legion of Superheroes book. So I'm excited for that. So that's what's going on with current mainline Clark. He's back now, and we're about to get this Zod storyline, which I'm excited for, which is Zod's coming back for Kingdom of Zod. I believe this is the first time I've seen him since since his Joe Casey book. Joe Casey did a Zod spinoff book, which was really good, by the way, but it ended early. I think it was supposed to go like 12 issues and it ended at like 8 or 9 or something. Went short, even though it was really good and I liked it a lot. And since then, we haven't seen Zod. I don't recall him showing up since then. But now he's back, and it's going to be a whole crossover event, and I'm excited for that to see how that goes. And this is going to be the first thing with Clark back is Zod is also back, and Superboy Prime's going to be involved, and the whole Super family, and hopefully it's good. I'm interested to see how that goes. And then after that, we already got the solicitation for what happens after Kingdom of Zod with Superman, which is we're going to be getting some actual Clark Kent stuff. He's got a new adventure. He's going to be a reporter. He's got to do a investigation to this death cult Metropolis. But Marilyn Moonlight's back, and they get drawn into like this weird, dangerous side of Metropolis that Superman didn't know about, and it sounds interesting. Marilyn Moonlight is a character from the beginning of Joshua Williamson's run that I didn't care about at all. She has a sick ass design. She looks awesome, but she's a very boring character. I did not care about her at all, and she was in one of the worst issues of Williamson's Superman. So hopefully she's better now. Again, great design, but as far as a character, very flat. But I'm very excited to see more Clark Kent stuff because Clark's been kind of pushed to the side. It's been all Superman. We haven't got much Clark, so I'm excited to see him actually, do some reporting. I love that. I love the Triangle era Superman when we got actual Clark doing stuff, and it feels like it's been a while. It feels like Clark's been pushed to the side, and it's been all Superman. So I like a nice balance. So that's what's going on with the main Superman title. Now with Adventures of Superman Book of L, this is the maxi series from Philip Kennedy Johnson, Scott Godlewski, which is expanding upon what Philip Kennedy Johnson had already set up with Future State and also with his Warworld saga. And this guy is such a great storyteller. Philip Kennedy Johnson is so good at telling these big, expansive, connected, epic stories, and he continues to do it. The threads that he has woven from so early on in his run on Action Comics to now is crazy. Like no one else currently in comics can really do this other than like Jeff Johns like that. There's not many other people that can do this. It's crazy that he's been able to do this, and the fact that the quality of it, the way he's been able to keep it consistent and like actually nail everything. I'm so sad that this is the last of his DC work for a while because he signed an exclusive contract with Marvel, and once Adventures of Superman Book of L ends, he's exclusive at Marvel for however many years, and that makes me sad because he's so good with DC. He's great at Marvel too. I like what he's doing with Hulk, but I'm a Superman guy, so I like him on Superman. But this has been incredible. Anyways, like I said, it's expanding upon what he had already set up with the Warworld saga and Future State. So if you didn't read any of those, highly recommend them. But in Future State, we saw that Superman, like way off in the future, way past when like Lois is gone, we see that Superman has other heirs, like he has some other children, and so there's a bunch of super people, there's a bunch of L's going around like helping throughout the universe, and some of them cause some mischief. But there's a lot of them, and there's sort of like a kingdom of L's, kind of, they're doing a lot of things, and those characters are back for this book, and their future is affected because Krillix, who is a character from the Warworld saga, he was a slave on Warworld. He's from the Philosians, which we got some even more info on the Philosians in this issue. So the Philosians were this group of Kryptonians like 4,500 years ago, on a sort of more ancient Krypton, that were this was back when Krypton was much more religious, and Ra is the main god on Krypton that they worshipped, and back then they were super into him, and there was this group, the Philosians, who had this like science lady that they really liked, and they were more like atheist scientist types, and she conflicted with the ruling class, and so then they went to this island of Phlosia, and that's where they chilled at. But then their leader, she got assassinated, so then the Philosians were like, all right, we're probably not really safe on Krypton, we don't vibe with Kryptonians, so they left to find a world where they could really practice their beliefs in peace. And they found a place, they chilled there for a little bit, and then the Warzoons came. So Mongol and his boys showed up and were like, sick, you guys have like this sort of crude fuel source that we need. We're going to take that. We're also going to take you guys, made them slaves, made them fight on Warworld. Again, these are mainly scientists, so these people did not do well on Warworld. except for Krillix. Krillix kind of went beast mode. He went he did real well in Warworld. He even escaped several times, but not escaped off Warworld. He just like made it out of the slave pits and the arenas and everything and like made it to other areas and would like survive for a bit and couldn't ever figure out a way to get off, and then would get taken back into the gladiatorial arena to be a slave again and fight. And each time he came back, he was like stronger and smarter. But anyways, he had a wife and kids and they were murdered by the Mongol and the Warzoons, and his whole thought, this entire story arc, he's been trying to bring them back because there's these god aspects of Olgren, who is like a god of the first world. He's a very powerful dude, and there's his god aspects are like just all over the universe, and he's been collecting them because if he can get all of them, he can bring his family back. And he's just been super one-tracked mind on that. He doesn't care about anything else that happens, who he harms. He just wants his family back, and he's not been a great guy. He's very much been affected by all the circumstances and terrible things that have happened to him. He is not he looked into the abyss and blinked. And Superman's been trying to stop him because one of Superman's adopted kids that he got from the World War Saga, because again, if you didn't read World War Saga, there were these kids that were fighting in the pits that were Phalosians, and they were slaves fighting in the pits, and Superman saved them and took them in and adopted them. But one of them sort of died, but got revived by having one of the god aspects in them, and so he gets Krillix goes after him, and that's kind of a point of contention for Superman because he doesn't like someone going after one of his adopted kids. And so Superman's in the future now. He gets sucked in this future with all these other L's and Krillix. And in this issue, he actually goes again. He actually comes face to face with Krillix, and Krillix gets all the god aspects, and that sets up issue 12 where they're going to have a big fight, and we're going to see what happens and how Superman takes him out. And it's really cool seeing all these side characters and these L's and everything. And there's a great conversation between Superman and Krillix because he tries to talk to Krillix first, and he's like, when I first met you, in the fighting pits on Warworld, all you did was talk about like your dead wife and kids, but all you talked about that they were dead. You didn't like tell me their names. I don't even know their names. You didn't say like what they liked or like tell me any stories about them. He's like, do you even remember anything? And you see that Krillix, because he's like, you've just been so driven by grief. Like, do you even remember anything about them? And Krillix tries to reminisce for a bit, but then he can't really remember, and he gets really pissed, and he starts taking it out on Superman. And then the rest of the L's show up because they're like, all right, Superman, we tried doing it your way talking, it didn't work. Now it's time to throw some fists. So they start doing that, and then Krillix gets the final aspects he needs, and we're gonna get the final battle. It's really, really good. Again, this is a very large, complex story with a very long thread that I highly recommend you start from the beginning and read, but you don't have to. You can just jump in with Book of L #1, and you'll get the gist. It's so much better if you do read from the beginning of World Saga, or you could even just like read those Future State issues, which is like you only need to really read like one issue, and you're good. So I highly recommend this. It's been incredible, and I can't wait to see how it wraps up. But I'm going to be very sad when it ends because that's the end of Philip Kennedy Johnston's Superman for a while. Now on to Absolute Superman. I'm hoping to do a whole video on Absolute Superman later because this was a book that I did not like at first, and I read the first couple issues, did not like it, hopped off, and then came back when Hawkman started showing up, and I started reading it again. I was like, wow, this is actually really good, and I like what's going on here, and it's very interesting. And I can't believe Jason Aaron's doing such a good job because Jason Aaron is so hit or miss for me. Like, he's either really bad or really good. There's a lot of stuff with him where it's like, this is terrible. Oh man, this is great. And with Absolute Superman, it just seems he keeps getting better and better. And this latest issue that just came out this week, issue 22, was so good. We get Absolute Metallo on this, which is Peacemaker. And now you may be thinking, I'm sick of Peacemaker because we got him in James Gunn's Suicide Squad, then they gave him a show, then they tried to like throw him everywhere in the comics. And I understand. If you're saying that, I understand. But they do such a good job with him in this. So they make Peacemaker, they make Chris Smith Metallo, and he's made Metallo by Brainiac. And it's a very tragic story. It's told in this issue about how it happens because he becomes a Peacemaker after his dad like shoots up a synagogue, and he's kind of lost, doesn't know what to do, so he like joins the Peacemakers, and he's trying to make a difference. You see like his first day when like he's even talking to one of the veteran Peacemakers about like, what are we going to be doing here? We're going among civilians, like who's the bad guys and stuff. And the guy's just like, welcome to the Peacemakers, good luck. He's like, the grandmas and everyone are going to be yelling at us, And it was interesting. And the whole time Clark is fighting him, he's really struggling because it's Metallo and he's got like kryptonite blood and it's all kryptonite. And the inner monologue of Clark is great, like the way Jason Aaron writes him, where just everything is pain. Everything is pain fighting Metallo because it's just all kryptonite, and just everything he does is just the worst. It's excruciating. Really cool fight. We got Juan Ferreira on art here because he's the backup artist on here, and he does a great job. And you just see the horrific things that Peacemaker has been through, and that what led him to here, and what Brainiac has done to him, trying to brainwash him into being Metallo, because Metallo was like a pet that Brainiac had at one point. Now he's like, your name's not Chris Smith, it's Metallo. And the whole time, like, Clark is trying to remind him that your name is Chris Smith. And he's like, I was with your mom her final days because his mom died recently. And it ends at the issue with him actually able to bring back Chris Smith, because at a point he dies. Like, Peacemaker kind of dies, and then Clark resuscitates him, and then they start fighting again, but he's still able to convince him, because Clark's just like, I have to talk. He's like, I can't really physically beat this guy, so I have to remind him who he is and try to bring him back from the brink. And it's great, and he does. And then we get such a good line, which is Superman says, you will not outrun the arms of Superman. And this is a double meaning, because he talks about, because the whole time Brainiac's spectating this fight and kind of goading them on. He's trying to see how Metallo's going to do in this fight. And Metallo runs away, and Superman's like, Metallo will run and hide and burrow himself into another hole, but I will find him no matter what it takes. I don't give a damn who you are. He will not outrun the arms of Superman. So, there he's talking about, he's not, Brainiac can't outrun him. He'll get him. But also we see that those words are said when he's hugging Peacemaker. So it's, it's a double meaning. Like, Brainiac won't get away, but also, like, this hug, this like embrace of what he's doing. Metallo also won't outrun the arms of Superman. Like, it's so good. I love it. It's a great line there, and I've been digging Absolute Superman. I can't believe it, because I did not like this book at the start, and I can't believe how it's turned around. So yeah, Superman's in a great spot right now. Hopefully it continues. Again, we're going to be losing one of these books, sadly. I'm sad that Adventures of Superman Book of L is going to be ending. I really wish we'd get a new writer on Action Comics. I don't care about Mark Waid on Action Comics. I'm not the biggest fan of this Superboy book that we're currently getting, and I don't really care for the Slott books. But at least neither of them are, like, again, Bendis level bad. They're not like ruining the character or anything. They're just not very good. But having Superman and Absolute Superman both be great, and then also having this third book that's about to end, it's nice to be a Superman fan right now. Again, in the comics. Outside the comics, it's a little rough, but in the comics, it's pretty cool. And that comics are what I care about the most. So that's what I would choose if I had to choose, like, to have a good Superman representation somewhere. It would be in the comics. So I'm happy about that. And yeah, I highly recommend you guys check out these books if you haven't read them. If you have, though, I am curious. What do you think right now of these Superman comics? Are you happy with what's currently going on? Are you excited for the Zod story? What do you think? Want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I will see y'all later.
Hey, skinny boy, saucy boy, I be running to the bank. Yeah, I hit the gas in the whip full tank. Riding past the ocean while I'm listening to Frank.